Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Tom here. Welcome back to another video where I'm releasing my entire FBA Masterclass training program on YouTube for free. In this YouTube video, you actually get to see a beautiful transformation happening right in front of your eyes. I can almost guarantee you've never experienced such thing. You see, one of my mindset coaches, his name is Elliot Rowe. I've used him throughout my entire entrepreneur journey, and he is amazing at what he does. He works with the top 1% of the world, whether it's UFC fighters, Olympians, even athletes, and he helps them to get to the next level by actually uncovering some of the traumas people have in the past. We all have traumas. I have traumas. You probably have traumas. And some of these things are actually holding us back from living our best life. So in this video, you actually get to see how Elliot approached this. But more importantly, he did a live transformation between one of my students, Finn, as well as Elliot, and you get to see Finn's live transformation happening right in front of your eyes. This video gives me shivers every single time, and it's really one of the most powerful videos you'll ever watch. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode.
I want to introduce someone by the name of Elliot Rowe to you. You see, about a year or 2 years ago, depending on what time you're watching this, I was going through a very rough patch of my life. I was dealing with some health issues, and that health issues actually led to a lot of anxiety and borderline depression as well. So it was definitely a very dark time in my life, and that's okay. I think in life, we always have the ups, we always have the downs. You know, we can't be sunny 24/7, or else that's just going to be a desert. You can't have the, day without night. You can't have black without white. So I think, going through what I've been through was one of the hardest things I personally had to go through. And someone I reached out to, his name is Elliot Rowe. Now, I met Elliot about maybe 4 or 5 years ago at a business mastermind. And what stood out to me about Elliot was the fact that he's a performance mindset coach. He was actually working with a lot of professional athletes, gold medalists, Olympians, poker players, top of the top of the top. And his rate wasn't cheap. And that's why I actually didn't really work with him for a long time. But because I was at the rock bottom, I was so desperate, I was willing to try anything. I finally reached out to Elliot. And just after one session with Elliot, that's 1 hour phone call with Elliot, he helped to reduce my anxiety about my health from literally 100% down to 20%. I was better after one call, just literally 80% reduced. And it's one of the most powerful things that I personally have done. And I just, I want to share him with other people. Now, his rate, again, is really expensive. I would include his links and stuff like that down below. But one of the things that we're actually doing is we have one of Elliot's coaches that's actually going to be able to help you at a much affordable rate in order to help you to overcome some of your mental blocks, some of your personal challenges. But regardless, what I want to show you in the next 2 videos is this. I want to show you 2 students that actually worked with Elliot. One of the students named Finn. I highly, highly, highly recommend for you to watch the entire video. The first 3 quarters, you might be like, what the hell am I watching? This is super, super boring. But I can guarantee you, if you watch the entire video to the very, very end, you are going to just strap yourself in for a huge surprise. It literally sent shivers down my spine. It almost made me tear up. And I just think it's so powerful. So what we've done is we got students that are, can't launch an Amazon product. They're super, perfectionist. They want everything to be right. They want, they are scared to take a risk. They feel like they don't have enough resources. They feel like they don't have enough time, this and that. They're procrastinating. And what we've done is we picked a few students that fit those avatars, and we're getting Elliot to actually do his work on these students. And then we filmed the entire transformation live. So what I want you to do right now is watch the next 2 videos and see if it relates to you. See if you feel anything. If it does, go ahead and contact one of Elliot's coaches down below. If it doesn't, at least you learned something new. So enjoy the next couple videos.
So Finn, thanks for coming on today and being willing to be a part of this training that we're doing for the group. So the first thing I wanted to talk to you about was just where you're at in your business and where you feel your mindset might be holding you back.
Thanks for having me, Elliot. Well, obviously, I'm just starting out with Tom on his FBA Masterclass program. Um, I've been kind of looking into doing something a little outside of my realm. I've been in retail management and carpentry my entire adult life, working history. And it's just, obviously getting burnt out in that realm. So like I said, the past year or so, I've been thinking about reaching out and doing something different. So I started back in September of last year. Actually, August of last year, started doing some research of different programs and classes and mentors and things. And I ran across Tom's there at the end, and decided to sign up with him. And I've been starting on that venture with starting a FBA business, and having Tom and his team as my mentors and coaches. Just finished the 20 unit challenge about 2 weeks ago now. Sold my last unit. So that was, and it happened on vacation that I just took for spring break. So to be able to snowboard and sell my products while I was doing that was just a great feeling. And that's one of my goals. Like, I want to be able to travel more and go and live my life how I see fit, and not a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
And that's, so right now I'm doing a lot of research on different products. We've got a couple in mind and a couple that I've already mentioned to my coach, and just moving forward, trying to move forward as fast as I can, but trying not to slip up at the same time.
And when it comes to any of the mindset issues that you might be dealing with, I know we'd spoken before regarding perfectionism as something that might be holding you back. Where do you think that shows in the business, and what's been happening there?
I think probably one of the biggest areas that showed him was just to start. I'm always overthinking names of a business, my DBA, how it's going to play into that down the road, how I'm going to brand that, what I can brand off of that. So I don't always just think about it today. I'm trying to think, 20 moves ahead, and sometimes that can stop me from just moving forward today.
Right. And what does that look like? How long did it hold you back in terms of initially launching a business? Like, yeah, what was the process there?
One of my biggest assets is having my wife. Like, she is, she very much counteracts or balances me.
Yeah.
So anytime I know that I need to have a fast answer or a fast solution, I know that I can ask her, and she's just, quick. And yeah, sometimes it's hard for me to admit that that's the right way to go about it. But, 9 times out of 10, it really does help me.
But in terms of the holdup, what's it like? Let's say we're researching the products right now. It sounds like you're thinking about a few different products. What does that feel like for you when there are multiple different options? Obviously, one of them is going to be better than the others, probably. How does it feel as you're weighing up those different decisions?
I guess the weight is not knowing if I'm looking at the correct criterias or areas to make sure that that's the right product. Because obviously I'm not going to be able to start with multiple products at once, just financially. But I don't, I want that first one to at least make something. I don't want it to be a complete bust. So I'm trying to make sure that I think that it's at least going to be a somewhat productive item.
Yeah.
Even with my changes even more. So.
And then how does that feel to you? Like, is it stressful? Is it high? Is there anxiety around it? Is there just like a force field holding you back from doing it? Like, what's the sensation around making the final decision, or the concern that you might not know all of the information?
Yeah, I'd say there's kind of an imaginary force field. Like, sometimes it's been overwhelming. So for me to come back and sit down and look at numbers and everything else, I kind of procrastinate, or I have procrastinated. It's, I've taken a week and not even looked at any research sometimes. And I know I can't do that if I want to move forward anytime soon.
And does that feel like a struggle to look at it? Like, is it uncomfortable? When you take those weeks off, is it uncomfortable looking at, uncomfortable opening up the numbers? Like some people would describe like it's just like a difficult feeling, thought of pushing themselves to do it because of the potential risk.
As far as just being able to look at the research?
Well, when you said some weeks you won't look at it, is that because of a discomfort? Like, yeah, I'd rather stay away from this right now.
I don't know what the main reason is for it. I'm not sure if I'm doubting those products, or I'm just doubting my ability to do the research and be able to read the data correctly.
Okay. And what would be the ideal outcome of today's session that we're doing? So let's pretend it's magic. What would the fix be? What would you like to see change in the way that you approach these products and your business and such?
Haven't thought about that yet. Yeah, that's the outcome. I'd want myself to be as much sure. I just want to be sure, I guess.
So sort of
lack of better.
like improving confidence around the subject. So like more.
Yeah.
With that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think we've got enough there to jump into the deeper work on this now. So I've explained to you, but just for the people watching, we're going to do a hypnotherapy session. There's no magic to hypnotherapy. It's not like stage hypnosis. There's no collapsing. All it is you get into a guided meditation state. You get very relaxed, and then memories come up in a different way. And this will feel like drifting in and drifting out of it. You'll feel very relaxed. And then as we're talking about emotions and memories, you should be able to tap into an understanding of where some of this resistance, anxiety, potentially fear of failure, fear of success might be coming from. That's usually, with these sorts of issues, it's usually linked to those sorts of things. And then we go into those memories and we reframe them so you can see them in a different way. And then it doesn't trigger you in the same way when you're back at your computer next week. So that's what we're looking to do. With the way this works, the beginning is like guided meditation. So we like close your eyes, take a deep breath, get relaxed. Just try and get as relaxed as you possibly can. As we get through the relaxation phase, I'm going to ask you to picture a door in your mind's eye and describe it to me. So you'll say it's a red door, a blue door, a white door, however you picture a door, it doesn't matter. And then from that stage forward, I'm going to ask you to bring up the emotions around this, bring up memories, just say the first thing that comes to mind. And if you can't think of anything, just say blank. So usually be like memory, memory, blank, memory, blank. And that's literally all you need to be doing. So does all of that make sense? Oh, I've lost your sound, Finn.
Sorry about that. Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, still got no sound.
Can you hear me?
Hey, now I've got you back. Good stuff.
All right. Yeah, pretty much. I can follow you.
That makes sense. Excellent. Okay, so for the rest of the session, if you want to now just close your eyes and then take in a deep breath for me. And then as you exhale, just allow yourself to relax. Take another deep breath now. Slowly exhale, releasing any stress, any tension from your body. With each breath that you take, sinking deeper into the chair. focusing in on the sound of my voice. All other sounds relaxing you further, relaxing you deeper. Notice the top of your head and use the power of your mind to relax and release any tension that's stored there. See that relaxation as a color or feel it as a warmth. Allow it to slowly spread down now, through your forehead and eyelids, and down through your cheeks, just smoothing the skin of your face as it goes. Relaxing your mouth and jaw, your neck and shoulders, through your arms to the tips of your fingers and thumbs. Relaxing your chest now, and as you relax your chest, allowing your breathing to slow, your heart rate to slow, down your back and spine, thighs and knees, through your shins to the tips of your toes, your whole body just so comfortable, just so relaxed. And now start counting backwards in your mind from 300. After each number, repeating the word relax. 300, relax. 299, relax. 298, relax. Just counting these numbers down. Each number that passes, sinking heavier, sinking deeper into the chair. And then taking control and slowing this count. And as you slow this count, your breathing can slow. Your body can slow. Ticking over like a perfectly maintained machine. So calm, relaxed and tranquil. You can stop this count completely and enjoy this time that's just for you. I'm going to count you down from 10 to 0. With each number I count, just picturing those numbers vividly in your mind's eye. I don't know what color or font they'll be, but the 10 will be enormous. Each number getting smaller and smaller till the 0 is so tiny you can hardly see it at all. With each number that passes, sink further, deeper, relaxed. 10, so big, so bold. 9. 8, just seeing these numbers now. 7. 6, getting smaller and smaller. 5. 4, really focusing in now. 3. 2, smaller still. 1. And 0. Totally relaxed and totally calm. Now just picturing a door in your mind's eye, Finn. Just describe a door for me. What would it look like?
Wood brown door.
That door leads through to the most beautiful beach you can imagine. Most beautiful beach in the entire world. I want you to step through that door and onto that beach and just describe that beach for me. How do you see it?
Orange, blue, white sand, palm trees.
I'd like you to just relax on that beach. Feel that sand beneath your feet, the warmth of the sun on your skin. Just relaxing there completely as if you've been on vacation for an entire week. Just relaxing, letting go, calming your mind and body. Then it's time for your mind to start to drift. And I'd like your mind to drift now to those times when there's just lots of options in front of you in the business. Different products, different brand names, there's a decision to make. One of those times it's been hard to make that decision, to pull that trigger. And I'd like you to think of a recent time it was hard to make a decision to pull that trigger, perhaps to do that research. When are you thinking of? What made you feel that way?
Just not knowing which way to go.
On which part, the product or the branding, which moment really stands out for you? When was it hard to make a decision on which way to go?
Category.
What was the emotion around that? What's the feeling of being not sure? How do you feel it in your body when you're not sure? You're not sure which way to go. Is it in your stomach, your chest, your face? What's that sensation to you if you're not sure of the right decision? What does that feel like to you?
Somewhat nauseous. Nauseous. Sick to my stomach.
I'd like you to focus in on that feeling in your stomach, that nauseous feeling in your stomach, not sure what to do next, whether you're going to make a mistake, the right decision, the wrong decision, that feeling of nausea in your stomach. Just focusing in on that sensation. I'm going to count you back from 5 to 1 to just another connected memory, just another memory where you felt that same nausea, where you also weren't sure of that right next decision. As I count you back now, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's the next time you think of? Anything at all? When else has that feeling been there? When else have you been unsure?
Marriage.
How old are you when that was happening?
39.
Just seeing those same feelings there. And how does it feel as you see those same feelings when you had a big decision to make?
Did I feel? What was the question?
Just seeing your younger self there dealing with those same feelings, that same big decision, that same nausea as you have a big decision to make. As you connect back even further now, even earlier now, to an even earlier memory of a big decision to make, not being sure if you're right or wrong. So I count you even further back in your life now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's the next time you think of?
Starting my first business.
How old are you?
44.
Just thinking of that, starting your own business, 44 years old. And the next time now, what's the next connected memory? When else have you felt this sensation, not being sure? What's the next thing you think of?
Being a parent.
What age were you when you were considering that?
$32.
And again, that big feeling, that big emotion. I'd like to go even further back, much earlier now, much younger in your life, when you just weren't sure if you knew the right thing to do. You weren't confident enough, when you had that nauseous feeling in your stomach, even earlier now. And what's the next time you think of, Finn? Questioning if you know the right thing, questioning if you're good enough. What's the next time that comes up?
Going back to school.
How old were you?
26.
And how did that feel going back to school at 26 as you walked in on that first day?
Nervous as hell.
And then connecting that even earlier in your life, even younger now, all the way to childhood, feeling that way in childhood, when you just weren't sure, when you were nervous. What's the next time that you think of? Time when you just weren't sure of yourself, whether you made a mistake, whether you were doing the right thing. What's the next time you think of, Finn?
my parents splitting up.
How old are you?
Around 10.
And what's happening? And what do you remember around this?
What's what?
What do you remember of this time of your life? That anxiousness, your parents splitting up, that nervousness. What stands out to you? Where are you? Are you inside? Are you outside? Are you at home? Are you somewhere else? So you think of that part of your life. What do you remember? 10 years old and your parents splitting up.
I remember having to pick who I was going to live with.
And how did that feel as a decision for a 10-year-old? What did that feel like in your body?
It was just confusing.
Where were you? What was happening when you were making that decision?
In our house that we were in at that time.
And just remembering back to that moment, who was there? What was happening?
My mom and sister.
And just seeing that moment now from the outside and seeing that little boy there, that little boy you, and how does he look as he's having to make this decision of who he's living with because his parents are breaking up? How does it feel as you see that little boy there dealing with this situation?
Maybe sad for him.
Just seeing him there with all that emotion he's holding, all the worries about whether this is right or wrong, whether he's going to upset one of his parents, and just seeing all that emotion that little boy's carrying. And how's he standing as he's feeling all of that emotion? How do you see him standing there or sitting there? What does he look like as he's carrying all this emotion, all this fear of making a mistake? What does that look like to you?
Not confident.
And I'd like you to make the decision now as your adult self to go back to this memory. Go to that 10-year-old boy, and I'd like you to give him a hug and tell him that you love him and he's enough. And how does it feel as you give him a tight hug and you tell him that you love him and that he's enough? And he doesn't need to be so worried and he's going to get through this. How does it feel as you give him a tight hug and just allow him to release that emotion? Finn, how does it feel to release that emotion from your past, just letting it all go?
Proud of him.
Just releasing all that emotion, just holding him tightly and showing him that love and affection that he needed. And how does it feel as you show him that love and affection? Just keep releasing all that emotion now, all that trapped energy that's been making things so hard. How does it feel as you let all of that go now, as you free him from that, as you free yourself from this?
Just proud.
Excellent. And just showing that pride to him. Then I'd like to give him advice. And what advice do you give that little boy? What do you tell him? What do you tell that little boy, Finn? How do you help him?
That it's going to be all right.
Just releasing all that emotion as he starts to understand that it's going to be all right. He's going to get through this. And just start to release that pressure, that tension from your body, just starting to let it all go. Just releasing all of that and understanding why it was hard to make these decisions, because you were given a very difficult decision very early. And that made these big decisions scary. And how does it feel to see you don't need to carry that with you any longer in these big moments? You don't need to carry the feelings of that 10-year-old any longer. How does it feel to really let this go, understanding why it used to be difficult, and why it can be so much easier now. How does it feel as you see that?
Put it into perspective.
Just understanding this in a different way now. It's as if a piece of the jigsaw puzzle is in place. Everything can be easier than before. And what advice do you have for that little boy about making tough decisions? What do you tell him? How do you help him in your adult words? What do you tell that little boy, Finn?
There's no wrong door. You just have to walk through.
And how does it feel as you see that there is no wrong door, you just have to walk through? How does it feel as you see that clearly in your mind? How does it feel as you share that information with him?
Happy.
And then I'd like you to see that that's actually the advice you need today. The advice you gave the little boy is exactly the advice you need to do today. And how does it feel seeing all we need you to do is follow your own advice? How does it feel seeing all you need to do is follow your own advice in the business? There is no wrong door. How does it feel showing yourself that there is no wrong door, Finn?
I think I should have known it the whole time.
And just starting to understand this and everything becoming so much easier than it was before as you release all of this now and starting to see the world in a different way. And how does it feel as all of those decisions, that emotional weight starts to go? Because in all of those decisions with school, with parenting, with everything, there is no wrong door. It's what you make of it. It's the effort you put in. And how does it feel, all of it becoming so much clearer, so much easier now?
The road's going to be less bumpy.
Excellent. And just seeing the road doesn't have to be as difficult any longer. It's all so much easier, so much calmer than it was before. So you take another deep breath and slowly exhale, releasing the emotion, the energy from this, just letting it go as everything's clearer, easier than it used to be. Then I'd like your mind to drift to your business, to these decisions, to this next stage in your life. And I'd like you to picture yourself at the computer making these decisions, doing the research, doing the work. And how does it feel as you see yourself now doing the work, doing the research, making the decisions? How do you see yourself at that computer, Finn?
Motivated.
And I'd like you to smile as you picture this, as you see that you're capable of doing this, seeing that most confident you. And I'd like to feel that confidence through your body because you understand the world is different now. The world is easier now. And where do you feel that confidence in your body? Where is it?
My heart.
And I'd like to imagine it's a color. What color would that confidence be?
Got to go with lime green.
And just picturing that lime green, that confident color. And I'd like it to grow from your heart now, growing through your heart, through your body, through every muscle and cell of your body, just enveloping you entirely as you feel that level of confidence. You understand a choice you can make for your business. And what does this mean now as you start to picture this, as you feel this, as you understand that this can be the new you? This is what you're choosing for your life. How does it feel as that flows through every muscle, every cell of your body?
Very nice. Very, very warm.
And from that place of confidence, from that beautiful lime green color, now just thinking of this next week, your game plan, what you're going to do and the changes you're going to make. And from this level of professionalism, this level of confidence, this best version of yourself, what decisions do you make? What do you do over this next week in your business?
Pick the product. Start. Finalize the category. And start the ordering process.
Seeing that you know exactly what to do? And how does it feel seeing you have a game plan? You know what to do. You can let go of those fears of the past. They can all disappear now. As you see this new, more confident, easier life, how does it feel as you have a game plan? You have something to follow. How does it feel as you see this, Finn?
Like game plans. Follow them a little bit easier.
Making that decision to write that game plan out after our session today. Writing out a list of things you're going to do, making the time to do them, and seeing the whole world open up, because there is no wrong door. And how does it feel as that stands out in your mind? There is no wrong door.
Definitely going to be writing that down so that it's in front of me every day.
Just understand the change that you've made today. Your subconscious feeling so different than before. Everything easier, everything more relaxed, everything more confident. And there'll be good days and there'll be bad days, but it doesn't matter, because you know it's just down to hard work, making it happen, thinking through the decisions, but pulling the trigger when they're correct. And how does it feel just seeing all of this open up? Everything easier than it was before, Finn. How does that feel for you?
A huge weight and lifted.
And just understand that shift and change. That weight's gone. It's gone forever now. Now that you've seen all of this, you can't unsee it. It's too obvious. It's too easy. And how does it feel knowing that you can't unsee this? Things are different now. The world is different.
I don't want to unsee it, but I pushed it away so much. It was right there in front of me.
And seeing that now you can make it happen. Everything's changed. Everything's easier. You can pull that trigger. And how does it feel seeing now everything's changed? All these decisions are easier. You can make this change in your life. How are you feeling now as you see this new world opening up?
Like a rebirth.
Just feeling that lime green spreading from your heart, all of that confidence through every muscle, every cell of your body, everything making more sense than before, everything easier than it was before, making these great choices in your life, your health, your business, your relationships, making these wonderful decisions that drive you forward, and having the confidence to take those steps, to believe in yourself, to believe in your actions. And I'd like to bring all of that shift, that change back with you now as I count you up from 1 to 5. Now 1, 2 coming up now, 3, 4, and 5. Open your eyes, feeling great. Hey man, so how you doing?
Good.
Yeah. And does that fit? I know it's a big emotional thing, and it's hard to describe beforehand. But obviously it will make sense now. Does it make sense why you'd created a bit of a roadblock to making decisions? Because obviously that 10-year-old you was given such an incredibly difficult decision for a child. You know, they don't have the capacity to do that. So it just builds a fear of big decisions moving forward past that point.
I honestly have to say that I never really looked at it that way. I don't know. I guess I thought that almost everybody did it. You know, I just thought it was normal.
Yeah. And we just all have these blind spots. Like, we all have our own ones, and everyone has different ones. And, you know, you found yours, and that means you can make massive change. And as you know, by changing the memory, we release the blockage. And, you know, the next 24 hours while it's processing, you might be a bit grumpier than usual. You might be fine, but if there's a lot of processing going on, give yourself some grace with it. But then I'd really like you to write down and have on your desk, there is no wrong door. Like, I think that's really useful as like just a tool for you to have there. And then I'd also like you to, as I say, write out this game plan of what you're going to do, and understand that some of the products might not work out in the way you want them to. Some of them might work out incredibly, but doing nothing is the highest risk. There we go, sir. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, and how are you feeling with all of that? Does this all make sense, Finn? And is that useful for you to see and to understand and really sort of try to recalibrate now?
I believe that it will be useful because there is no excuse, for anyone. Anyone can reach past and reach their goals, or at least try.
Yeah. And as I say, I think that's the key thing here, is that the only thing that matters is action. And sometimes things don't work out great, sometimes they do, but they're definitely not going to work out great if you don't take the action. Like there needs to be the commitment. Then we find out, then we fine tune, we change, and then we try again. We find out, we fine tune, we change and try again. But it's making sure the actions are happening, so we get the data as to what we need to improve, and we don't waste our time. So, man, and thank you for being open to this, and thank you for being so kind to the community, for being willing to share this, because it is emotional stuff and it is a big deal. So I really want to give you some appreciation for being open and helping the other people with this as well.
I appreciate it as well. Sure. Hopefully it helps somebody else.
Yeah, but it's really good stuff, man. So, Joshua, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So Joshua's been kind enough to come on and basically have a mindset session for the course. And the particular issue that Joshua, you said you'd been struggling with is getting started, so pulling the trigger. So what I'd like you to do first is just talk us through how long you've been looking to get into this industry, how long you've been working on it, and what it's felt like as you've been trying to make those decisions to pull the trigger and start a business.
So how long I've been working on it, I saw an ad, I think on YouTube, like 2-3 years ago, during COVID-19 pandemic. Obviously it kind of rocked all of our worlds there. And I was really in a financial hard spot at the time. Didn't have a job. Just got laid off my job. So, I'm sitting there looking at anything and everything. Obviously you see a lot of things come up during that time where, is this a fake thing or is this a legit opportunity? And I looked into it and I talked to a few people that I knew in my life, and they said it was a legit opportunity. So I figured, hey, this is something I could really go for. I haven't really gone for anything in my life, really. And so I was really excited at the prospect 2-3 years ago, 2020. So I'm going to do it. I've been saying I was going to do something, for a long time. This is definitely a legit opportunity to pursue. So I was really gung ho at the start. Got signed up with the class right away. Did what I needed to do to get started. Went through the source material, kind of understanding the pathway to the end goal, obviously, but there's a lot of steps in between. So I went to the course right away. Got all the viral launch and everything that it's got my business started in terms of getting my business credit card with going with Chase to get my Amazon sellers account started, which is, that's a pretty big step. But once I got there, it was like, now you got to pick a product. Now you gotta, it's a product that stands out, that's competitive in the market that it's in. And, there's a lot of analytics there. And like I said, I'm a very over-analyzing person. I get that paralysis by analysis feeling. It's like there's just so much information. I feel like I have to get it right the first time. And I've never been a risk taker in my life. So I think, growing up, it took me so long to even get on a bike because I was afraid of getting hurt, so, but once I got on the bike, I was fine. And I love riding bikes now and stuff like that, but it's just hard to get over that hump for me. I feel like my entire life, I've been slow to develop and taking that leap of faith or that step that needs to be taken. So I don't know, it's a long way of answering your questions there, but that's the best way I can answer them.
No, but very, I'd rather the long way. So
right. Yeah.
So when you think about that, like, when did you get that Chase card? When would you say the true potential starting point was?
I think that was the beginning of 2021. I think I
Okay.
signed up for the class, if I remember right, I think late 2020. So it was relatively quick. I mean, it was within like, I was like, it's like it was pretty quick to get that done, get that out of the way. But when it came to product research and like, man, what am I even how do I even get started? It seems like in my head, it just seems like such a daunting task to find like to actually pull the trigger. Even like I see all these numbers, all these things that can be potential good selling products on Amazon, but it's like I'm just like, man, which one do I pick? And I'm afraid of making that choice because there's a lot of money and risk involved. It's your money, and I want to make sure that my money is doing has the best chance of succeeding when I'm putting down that much money on a product. And it's a big risk, but that's what you have to do in business. I realize that, and it's that fear of a failure, I guess, which kind of gets me afraid too.
And when you think about this, so 2021, so that's 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
What steps have you made past that point? And have we tried any products, or has it just been analysis since that point?
Just analysis since that point.
And how many hours do you feel that you spend on it a month?
Not too many. I feel like it's always in the back of my head. Like I'm spending this much for the course. I just doubled down and have bought the mentor program, which is a few more grand to the program. So as far as my time, I was really, really hard trying to get hired on at my company as an IT tech position. So that took a lot of my time outside of work. You work 9 to 5, and then after work, you're looking for jobs. And so it just seems like, even the little time that I do have, and the fact is, I'm in the back of my head, I know I have the time, right? It's just, for whatever reason, it's getting pushed back further on my priority list. And by the time I think about it, I'm like, man, I haven't done anything this week. So very, very little to answer your question.
Okay, so there hasn't been a huge time investment, but there is
Right.
like in the back of your mind, energy burn, knowing that you've made an investment, you've got the research from the course, you've learned how to do it, and you haven't pulled the trigger.
Exactly.
Okay. Let's pretend I'm magic. What would be the ideal result from us working together? What would be the achievement that we're looking to hit?
Just to have just to get mentally right, I guess. I mean, to have it placed higher on my priority list, I think, and it's easier said than done. But it can be doable. It is definitely doable, and that's kind of what's burning me up inside. Is like, man, I paid all this money for this course, and it's really, there's nobody else to blame but myself. But I don't want to be too hard on myself, but I also want to push forward, and knowing that it can be done, and just having the confidence that I can do it and I can get it done. That's what I would like to get out of this meeting with you today.
So sort of having the confidence and then being able to try something, basically.
Right, exactly. Anything, yeah, even if it fails.
And the thought of failure. So, this is going to be the first product that you do. We can't guarantee success. Sometimes 100%. You need to learn. How does it feel, the thought that you might invest some money and it might not work, the first one?
It could hurt, but I think it's a good hurt. I know, but it is what it is. I mean, that's what risk is. I mean, it might be the worst result possible, but I just feel like I feel like I've been so safe in my life that I haven't really experienced the failure like that. And it might be the best thing for me going forward if I do, and I just need to be confident in myself that I need to make a wise decision in terms of my money, because I don't want to, it'd be a poor investment if I spent half my savings on something. I need to make sure it's, when I fail, it's I could take that hit, obviously, but yes, to answer your question, yes, it would be, I know that the depths of my bones that it would hurt a lot, but I think it'd be good.
And when you think of the hurt a lot, what's the physical sensation of that? So, hey, I've put in this effort, I've pulled the trigger, I've made it happen, and this just didn't turn out to be the right product. Is it sickness in your stomach? Is it a pressure in your chest? Is it a headache? Like, if you imagine something going wrong in that way, what would be the way you would describe it physically?
It feels like my brain and my shoulders go to my feet. It's the best way I can. You know what I mean? the best way to put it in a metaphorical standpoint, but that's what it feels like. It feels like you're just kind of like, oh man, it stinks. That's feels like all your weight's going to your feet.
Yeah, just like,
That's how.
ooh.
Because I failed like that before in sports, and it's just not a good feeling. But that's how you learn, though. I feel like, yeah.
And what sports did you play?
I played football in high school and college, and then I ran track in high school, and I wrestled in high school.
Okay, so a lot of sport. And how did you deal with losing?
It's not fun. It's like I prefer to win. And get competitive, but for me, it's like I don't want to let people down, my teammates or my coaches or anything like that. So when I have a poor performance, it's just like it does sting a little bit. You kind of feel kind of like I've mentioned before, just kind of like you feel like just like your weight's crashing down on your shoulders. I feel like sometimes, whether that's healthy or not, but that's how I feel whenever I do let somebody down.
And that's what we're working on. Do you feel you would be letting somebody down? Is it yourself, your mentors, Tom making the course, colleagues on the course, your family? When you think of if this didn't work out, who are you thinking of about letting down?
I think the man in the mirror is my hardest, my most biggest enemy in my life. I feel like I just it's something and obviously I'm not married or have kids or anything, but I do want to have a family. I want to be a supporter for my family, and I want to be a provider. But I think like to kind of answer your question, I think my biggest hurdle is the guy looking right back at me in the mirror. I think that's the guy, my biggest enemy in my life. I feel like.
Okay, well, I mean, we can definitely work on him. So
right.
he's easier,
Yeah.
easier to work on than the other people
Yeah.
he wants. So we're going to focus in on that, and yeah, I mean, this is a situation where, as you get over this, because this is a fear of failure you're describing more than
Right.
anything else. We need you to reach a stage where you understand the true failure is not trying.
Right.
So you've got like 85% of the way through. You've learned how to do it. You've invested in courses. You have a bank account set up. You have a business card. You've done all the stuff. And it's a tiny percentage left to find out how things will go. And there's a fear of failure here where it's just your ego's not allowing you to find out. Because if you don't try, you can't find out. And you can say, hey, I should have done it and it probably would have worked, but I just
Right.
I just didn't try. And we need to hit that fear of failure so that you're in a position that you can pull the trigger. And if it doesn't work out, we move on. We learn the lessons, we move on. But we definitely don't want to be on pause and limbo for a long period of time, because you're just wasting hours and the money's already been invested to some extent, and the effort.
Right.
A really good book on this, I recommend to everyone watching this video, Mindset by Carol Dweck. Talks about fixed and growth mindsets. Highly recommend reading that book specifically on this issue. It would be a very good idea. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to jump into the hypnotherapy. So the way that this works, I sort of explained it a little bit to you beforehand, but the beginning is like guided meditation, relaxation. I'll just need you to follow my instructions and get as relaxed as you can. So be like, close your eyes, take a deep breath, etc., etc. As we get to the end of that, I'm going to ask you to picture a door in your mind's eye and describe it to me. So you'll say it's a red door, a blue door, a black door. Doesn't matter, just however you see a door. From that point forward, I'm going to ask you to bring up memories, to visualize things, to bring up the feelings that you're describing here. And then we're just going to connect it back to other memories. Sometimes the memories may be blank. If they are, just say blank. If you can't think of anything,
right.
So it'd be like memory, blank, memory blank. So you can't get this wrong. Don't worry. Just say whatever you're thinking. Just the first thing that comes up. If it's I'm 10, I'm at a restaurant, cool. Like just whatever it is, first thing that comes to mind. And then we'll just work through it and we'll see if we can see some understanding of where this has come from and why you're holding yourself back. And we'll look to work through that. Does all of that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. So if you want to just close your eyes now, and you'll keep them closed for the rest of the session, and then just take in a deep breath for me. And as you exhale, just allow yourself to relax. And another deep breath now. Slowly exhale, releasing any stress, any tension from your body. with each breath that you take, sinking deeper into the chair. Just focusing in on the sound of my voice. All other sounds relaxing you further, relaxing you deeper. Notice the top of your head and use the power of your mind to relax and release any tension that's stored there. See that relaxation as a color or feel it as a warmth. Allow it to slowly spread down now through your forehead and eyelids and down through your cheeks, just smoothing the skin of your face as it goes. Relaxing your mouth and jaw, your neck and shoulders, through your arms to the tips of your fingers and thumbs. Relaxing your chest now, and as you relax your chest, allowing your breathing to slow, your heart rate to slow, down your back and spine, thighs and knees, through your shins to the tips of your toes. Your whole body just so comfortable, just so relaxed. And now start counting backwards in your mind from 300. After each number, repeating the word relax. 300, relax. 299, relax. 298, relax. Just keep counting these numbers down. Each number that passes, sinking heavier, sinking deeper into the chair. Really enjoying this sensation as you count yourself down into deeper levels of relaxation, even deeper levels of calm. Then taking control and slowing this count down. As you slow this count, your breathing can slow. Your body can slow. Ticking over like a perfectly maintained machine. So calm, relaxed, and tranquil that you can stop this count completely and enjoy this time that's just for you. And I'm going to count you down from 10 to 0. With each number I count, just picturing those numbers vividly in your mind's eye. I don't know what color or font they'll be, but the 10 will be enormous. Each number getting smaller and smaller till the 0 is so tiny you can hardly see it at all. With each number that passes, sink further, deeper, relaxed. 10, so big, so bold. 9. 8, just seeing these numbers now. 7. 6, getting smaller and smaller. 5. 4, really focusing in now. 3. 2, smaller still. 1. And 0. Totally relaxed and totally calm. Now just picturing a door in your mind's eye for me. Just picturing a door in your mind's eye. What would it look like? How would you see a door?
Brown wooden door with a golden knob.
Excellent. And that door leads through to the most beautiful beach you can imagine. The most beautiful beach in the entire world. I'd like to step through that door and onto that beach and just describe that beach for me. What does it look like?
Quiet, nobody there. Really sunny, hot. A few palm trees.
Just feel that sand beneath you. The warmth of the sun on your skin. Just really relaxing there, really letting go, feeling as if you've been on vacation an entire week. Just allowing yourself to really relax. Really let go of any stress, any tension. Anytime you're feeling stress or anxiety, you can just picture this beach in your mind. You can bring back this same feeling of relaxation and calm. Now I'd like your mind to start to drift. Drifting over these last 2 years, those thoughts of starting a business, of starting with a product. Those times you've thought about starting with a new product, starting a business. And what's it felt like in your body as you've been thinking about getting started? What's been happening?
Tingling and anxiety.
And where are you feeling that anxiety in your body? How would you describe it, that tingling anxiety?
The chest and my upper to my lower back.
And I'd like to focus in on that feeling in your chest, in your lower back, that anxiety feeling, that thought of getting started, of pulling that trigger, of getting going, that feeling of anxiety in your chest, your lower back. And you felt this way before, other times in your life as well. I'm going to count you back from 5 to 1 to another connected memory, another time of a similar sensation now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's the next time you think of anything at all? When else have you felt this way?
I wouldn't say feeling started, but the connection, the memory as a high school football game.
How old are you?
I was probably 16 at the time.
What's happening?
I was playing cornerback. I was on defense.
What happened? Why were you feeling this way? Where's this anxiety coming from?
It was my first time playing varsity football. I got pushed out by my coach to play. I wasn't ready.
How did that make you feel, getting pushed out when you weren't ready? You didn't feel ready for this. What was that feeling like for you?
I was extremely anxious. My body tensed up. Heart rate was beating really fast.
And then what happened?
I was supposed to cover one of the wide receivers, and I realized I was reading the wrong play. And before I knew it, I looked behind me. I was already beat by 10 yards, and I was chasing him the entire way. He was able to catch a touchdown over my side of the field, which I had responsibility of covering.
How did that make you feel?
Pretty miserable because I knew what I was supposed to do and what I didn't do, and just the consequences of the other team scoring was then knowing that it was my sole responsibility to not let that portion of that play to happen, and it did. And just letting my teammates and my coach down gave me kind of a sense of dread, I guess to say.
And just focusing in on that sense of dread, that thing's not going right, that anxiety, connecting it back to another time now, just another memory. What's the next time that comes up? When else have you felt this way?
Nothing just yet. I don't really have another connected memory.
So just thinking of those feelings, that anxiety, that dread, that anxiety of pulling the trigger, whether you're good enough, whether you're going to fail. Another time when things just made you feel that way, and just connecting that back over your childhood now. Other times you may have felt this way, this anxiety, this struggle pulling the trigger. What's the next time you think of? When else have you felt like this?
Asking other women out in my life. I think my dating life has been full of that kind of struggle, that anxiety.
And just drifting back, what time do you think of? When did it really feel strong, that feeling, that anxiety? What situation did it really feel that strong for you as you were asking out a woman?
In college.
What moment are you thinking of?
A girl with that was doing she was an attendant at the gym, at their college's gym, the one I worked out almost every day at.
What happened?
I was always nervous to ask her out. We had good conversation, but I didn't know how she really felt about me, and so I just was in a constant loop of maybe today I'll ask, and today was tomorrow, and tomorrow was the next day, and then months became more months, and then finally I asked her out towards the end of the semester.
And then what happened?
I was rejected, but I was let down softly. She was a nice girl, and understood where she was coming from. She said, she was about to graduate, and I felt like at the end of it, it wasn't as bad as I thought, but I understood where she was coming from. She was about to leave and go back home. So I'm sure she didn't want to get into a relationship at that stage of her life, and I felt like if I would have asked months ago, I would have maybe have a better result. I can't see the future or the results, but I had a feeling that if I were to just not hold it off until the very end, I feel like that's you could have yielded better results. So I think that's another moment in my life where I kind of felt anxious, and the possible failure of failing in terms of getting rejected is can be hard, have some hard emotions that come with it. But that's the best way I can describe it.
Just focusing on that feeling, how intense was that anxiety as you were thinking about asking her out? What did it feel like in your body? That thought of asking her out, putting yourself on the line, what did that feel like for you?
I felt like my blood was hot. That's the best way I could feel. I could feel like, like just like my body was like tingling, or obviously my heart rate would go up quite a bit. I would make sure to not fumble over my words. I would be trying to practice, even though that probably doesn't make any difference, because when it comes time, it just doesn't come out the way you practiced it.
And then just focusing in on that sensation, that feeling as if your blood is hot, and then going even earlier in your life now. Even earlier, what's the next time you think of? As you connect that even further back, what's the next memory?
Nothing's coming to my mind as of right now. Earlier, trying to think.
No worries. So just allowing your mind to drift. I'd like your mind to drift now. I'd like you to find yourself in an office as if you're CEO of a company. It's your perfect office with the perfect view. What would that view be if you were CEO of a company with the perfect view from your office? What do you see?
Perfect view from my office. I don't know, probably 30 floors up, I guess. That's what I'm saying. I'm just describing what's in my mind right now. Just 30 floors up, say, overseeing the skyline of a city. Not sure what city it would be. I'm not really sure what my mind's trying to paint a picture of. But I have my desk, have my my monitors and everything set up in my office. Minimalistic, not a lot of stuff, just what I need in my office to get the job done. But that's what I can see right now.
And this is the office of your mind. And you can bring in different parts of your personality. You can ask them questions. You can see what they look like. And I'd like to hear a knock at the door. And it's that part of you who's scared of pulling the trigger, that part of you that's been holding back from starting this business. And as you open the door, what does he look like as he walks in, that part of you who's been holding you back? How do you see that part of your subconscious? What does he look like?
It's kind of weird, but I guess he's well dressed, well put together, has a nice haircut. I guess that's just what I'm seeing in my mind, at least right now.
And I'd like to ask him, why is he holding you back? Why is he stopping you pulling the trigger? What's he protecting you from? What does he say, Joshua?
I don't know. You can lose everything, or you can fail to a point where you can never come back.
And how does it feel as he says that he's worried about failing to a point that you can never come back? How does it feel as you hear him say those words?
I personally feel like it can be a possibility.
And I'd like you to then connect back, just understanding where he came from. When you learned that level of fear around taking risks, drifting all the way back, thinking how long he's been there. How long has he been there in the back of your mind, holding you back from risk? How many years has he been there, Joshua?
I think for pretty long. I think since I was a little kid.
And I'd like to connect all the way back to being a little kid, of that part of you trying to stop you taking risks, of learning that things can be scary, that you can lose everything, that things can be dangerous, that you don't want to fail. And what's the next memory that comes to mind?
It's a memory of someone sharing a memory. My dad would always say when I was little, he always take me to the swings, and he said I was the most nervous child he's ever pushed on a swing. He said I had white knuckles on the chains, and said I didn't want to go anywhere while my sister wanted to be thrown around the push so hard that she loops around the bar at the top 2 times, and I was the guy that didn't want to get pushed at all.
I'm just starting to picture that now, seeing that little boy looking so scared. And how do you feel as you see that younger you on the swing, just his knuckles white, being scared of being pushed, so uncomfortable? How does it feel as you see that younger you, that little boy?
And I could kind of feel that same way. I feel like he's still there to a certain degree.
And I'd like you to go back to that little boy as your adult self now. And I'd like you to give that little boy a hug. I'd like you to tell him that you love him and he's safe. And how does it feel as you give?
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
How does it feel as you do that? As you give him a hug and tell him that you love him and he's safe, as you calm him down?
I think his grip lightens up a little bit.
What advice do you have for him? What do you tell him, Joshua?
Everything's going to be all right.
And what do you tell him about risk? How do you explain risk to him in life?
That in life, you kind of need to take risk. Otherwise, you're not going to really get anywhere. I think risk is necessary, and that you have people, regardless if you fail, that still love you and care about you, whether you believe it or not.
How does it feel to say those things out loud?
It's comforting.
Are those things true or are they a lie?
They're true.
And as they're true, how does it feel taking your own advice? Because the advice you gave the child is the same advice you need to hear today. How does it feel taking your own advice here, Joshua? Starting to see the truth.
It feels weird, whenever I say it, I feel like it's easier for me to say stuff to people, but it's harder to grasp the own words I'm even saying.
And just starting to grasp the words, starting to see the truth of those words, starting to feel things start to change in your mind. And how does it feel as you start to release some of that fear? As you start to see that risks are what make life interesting, it's what gives you the possibility to have true success. How does it feel giving yourself that opportunity, Joshua?
Feels good.
And how does that
Feels
little boy look now?
Feels liberating, to answer your question again.
And how does that little boy look on the swings now as you tell him this, that he can enjoy this, that he's safe, that sometimes risk can be fun, and being on a swing with his dad is a very safe way of having fun? How does it feel telling him this is a very safe way of having fun?
I think he's able to get pushed a little bit more.
And I'd like to take a deep breath.
Okay.
Deep breath in. And as you exhale, releasing the stress, the tension, the pressure from that moment, just calming him down even further. And how does he look now as you calm him even further?
He looks calm.
And I'd like that to start to echo through other memories, that calm child, that calmness echoing through other situations where there was risk, as everything feels less scary now, everything's more comfortable. And how does it feel as you allow that to echo, to ripple through other memories?
Feels good. It gives me more clarity.
And I'd like you to take that ripple all the way to working at the gym with that girl. And how does it look as you see yourself there every day questioning, should I ask her out? How does that look through your adult eyes as you see that college kid doing that?
I should ask her out day one, I feel like.
How obvious is that to you now?
Very obvious.
And how would you describe it to him? What would you say?
Just that the worst that she can say is no. And it doesn't change who you are as a man.
And what difference does doing it faster make?
You get to see the result,
And
whether it's bad or good.
How does it feel applying that to this same situation with Amazon? The same situation with your business, pulling the trigger faster to find out the result, to learn the lessons. How does it feel seeing this exactly the same way?
Feels good.
I can see the logic here. Can you make the connection here in your mind, Joshua?
I can.
And how does it feel showing yourself this, making it so clear that you can't unsee it? It's just too obvious.
It feels good. It does feel too obvious.
What does that mean if it's just too obvious? Now that you can see it, you can't unsee it. What does that mean as we move forward?
Kind of like connecting the dots, I guess, to say. I could see lines going to dots, really making a clearer picture.
And what does that clear picture look like to you? What are you seeing?
Just a circle, completed circle.
And what does that mean to you, that completed circle around this situation, these decisions with your business?
Just, I wouldn't say, I just to say it just makes a shape, it makes a clear pathway or clear vision of something. I can't really put a representation to it, but it does give a clear picture of what, I guess needs to happen, and gives me more clarity of what needs to take place to get there, and just going off of what you were saying earlier of that, man, it's too obvious. It's just I just have to visualize it happening there, and those dots are connecting to make a circle in my head. I guess I'm just giving what's in my head right now.
Excellent. Just seeing it all coming together and seeing that pathway as now you drift to that football player, that younger you being put on the field. All that anxiety, all that stress. And what advice do you have for him?
Prepare yourself. You don't want to be unequipped. It's a good feeling to get out in the field, but when you're not ready, just to be prepared for whatever you're doing in life. I think it's good to know, to have the knowledge and foresight beforehand, so it makes the job that you're doing a lot easier and a lot more doable because you're prepared for the good and the bad outcomes, and not to be afraid. Okay, go ahead.
Just get him there with that level of stress, his heart racing, his coach putting him on when he felt he wasn't ready. And I'd like to give him a hug and actually forgive him for how things went. Forgiving that younger you for not performing at his best when he was surprised by being put on the field. And how does it feel forgiving him for that? Truly forgiving him and truly letting this go. This was a football game as a kid. How does it feel forgiving him for that?
Feels good. Many years I didn't.
And how does it feel giving him a tight hug and just letting this go, truly forgiving him for that moment?
Feels really, really good.
Just allowing any of the emotion to drain away. Sometimes they get through, sometimes they score touchdowns. And just forgiving yourself and letting it go and seeing that you're still alive, you're still okay, everything's good. And how does it feel showing yourself this? You're still enough.
Feels great.
What does that mean for you as you truly let go of that moment in your life?
Just, it feels freeing. It feels like, knowing that can be applied in a lot of parts of my life. I think forgiving myself is very important because for many years I never did.
And I'd like to go through all those different situations where you know you should have forgiven yourself and just do that now. All those different moments, all those different memories, just truly forgiving yourself and just being proud of who you are and accepting that sometimes we all make mistakes and that's okay. You're still enough and you're still loved. And how does it feel as you go through all of those memories, just forgiving yourself that way?
Feels great. It feels like I feel lighter. I feel like my heart rate's slowing down.
Another deep breath for me. And as you exhale, releasing all that emotion, all that stress, just truly letting any of that guilt, that shame, that stress, just letting all of it go. And how does it feel as you release that weight, that pressure from your body?
Feels good.
And then I'd like to drift back to that office and see that part of you. And what does that part of you look like now that's been holding you back?
Relaxed, focused.
And how does he feel now about you making a decision on a product and trying it out? What does he say now, that part of your subconscious? How does he deal with it now that you've shown him these things?
He's happy. I'm glad.
How does it feel seeing that part of you can support you now? He doesn't need to stop you any longer because he can understand. How does it feel as your subconscious has now changed? Life is easier than it was before. How does it feel thanking him for changing?
Feels good.
Just thanking him and allowing him to leave that office now, knowing that that part of you supports you in making this choice in your business. And how are you feeling now as you're standing in that office, knowing that you can make these decisions moving forward?
Feels good. It feels I have a sense of confidence now.
And from this place of confidence, I'd like to make a game plan. And what's that game plan? What stands out to you? What do you do for success? What stands out to you, Joshua?
Time investment and really developing habits. Not because I need to, but because I want to. The motivations behind why I'm making the choices.
When do you make the decision on a product? How do you make that decision? What steps do you take to make this happen?
I have to find I have to do the 20-step, 20-unit challenge. I think that's been on my list for a long time to do. It's a way you can expedite the process by trying to get 20 units together instead of thousands, 1,000+ unit shipment, so you can test to see if it works. And it doesn't, it's a lower investment up front. Instead of investing thousands, it's a good way to test only using hundreds or maybe 1,000. No, just not even 1,000, probably hundreds of dollars instead of thousands. So it's a good way to fail and be comfortable in knowing that, okay, that's a good or bad product. And so it's an easier way to test to see what would work and what doesn't work in the market.
And how do you feel about making that commitment now that you're going to get that done? That you're making the commitment to that 20-unit challenge, that you can commit to yourself to make this happen. How does it feel making that decision, this commitment for yourself, Joshua?
Feels good. Feels like I can do it. It's doable. Can do it.
And how does that feel as you make that commitment to yourself, as you make this promise to yourself that you can do this and the risk is extraordinarily low? This is, as you say, hundreds of dollars. There's virtually no risk here at all. How does it feel as you make that commitment to yourself to start driving this business forward?
Feels good. Feels great.
And I'd like to feel that commitment now and feel that confidence, because life's different now. We're letting go of the past and everything's just too obvious now. It's all too visible to you because you can see why it used to be difficult and why it can now be easy. And how does it feel as you look forward now to that 20-unit challenge? How does it feel as you see this playing out in front of you?
It feels great. Even if it succeeds or fails, I feel like it feels great. Just doing the action feels good.
And seeing that's all we can ask is that you make the decision to try. And how does it feel as you finally make that commitment, that decision to try? You're going to make this happen. You're going to do the 20-unit challenge. How does that feel to you now?
Feels great. Feels like I can do it.
Excellent. And I'd like you to just feel that confidence and just feel that decision so sure in your mind. And bring all of that back with you now as I count you up from 1 to 5. Now 1, 2 coming up now, 3, 4, and 5. Open your eyes, feeling great. Hey man, so how you doing?
Doing good. Kind of, it's weird to close your eyes for that long without sleeping. So.
Well, thank you for not sleeping.
Yeah, yeah, you're welcome.
And how did it feel seeing those memories and how quite clearly connected they were to the same issues that you've been struggling with in the business?
They're very similar. You're right. That's kind of like when you close your eyes, you kind of definitely, your memories start coming back to you pretty vividly.
And can you see sort of where the logic of, like not asking out the girl and leaving it as long as possible is almost identical to the same program that you've been using of setting yourself up and then just doing analysis and holding yourself back from pulling the trigger on the business?
I see it. I see a lot of connections there.
Excellent. So next steps, where are you at? What are you going to do?
Where I'm at is I need to get that 20-unit challenge done. I'm already working with my mentor on it, and I'm already behind, obviously. But I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see what the results are, good or bad, from the 20-unit challenge. And I think it can equip me with the right knowledge base of, okay, that works, that doesn't work. But just like not asking out that girl, I feel like if you just put it off for too long, you're never going to see the result. And markets can change and things can change. So I got to take advantage while I can, and just get to it and not be too hard on myself and forgive myself for holding myself back.
Excellent stuff, man. Well, I really appreciate you coming on today. And it's super kind of you to be vulnerable, share this stuff with everyone watching. You're going to help a lot of people, because I promise you, you're not the only person struggling in this way. This is like
Right.
the same stuff comes up for everyone. Like the number of people where procrastination in this way, that they're not pulling the trigger. For guys, it linking back to asking out girls and that same physical sensation. I've had that come up loads of times over the years with this sort of issue. So, you being open about all of that is going to help a ton of people. So thank you so much for sharing. And I really wish you luck in the 20-unit challenge and then
I
turning that
appreciate
into,
that.
yeah, it's going to be good.
Well, thank you for your time and thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
No problem at all. Hi, my name's Elliot Rowe, and I'm excited to contribute to this fantastic program that Tom and his team have put together. As a mindset and performance coach, I work with the best in the world in a diverse range of industries. I work with executives, founders, and entrepreneurs. I work with Olympians, professional athletes, UFC fighters. I work with Wall Street traders, actors, and even high-stakes professional poker players. Now, I'm not a technical expert in any of those fields, yet these high performers seek me out to help them unlock levels of performance that they didn't know were possible. I imagine the stories and backgrounds of those who invest in a course like this are diverse. Maybe you feel stuck and are tired of being ground down by the monotony of working a job you have no passion for. Maybe you're a single or stay-at-home parent who's looking to build a business that provides for the family while still being able to enjoy seeing your children get older. Maybe you're coming to the end of your career and looking to create an income stream that supports your retirement lifestyle while giving you a task to stay focused on. Maybe you feel that deep down you're capable of so much more, but you just haven't found the right opportunity to apply yourself and get the results you know you can. Whoever you are, you're in this course because you have a desire to take your financial destiny into your own hands. You're looking to create a better life for yourself and your family. You're looking to build a business that allows you to live your life's big vision. You're looking to create something that provides great value to the world and, in turn, rewards you financially and gives you the time and freedom to actually enjoy those rewards. As a coach who focuses on optimizing human performance, it brings me a great deal of joy to see so many people willing to make a serious investment in improving their life. As you start this course, I'm sure there's a feeling of excitement and optimism as you start your journey in creating your business. My job today is to tell you it's not going to be easy. And I say that not to dissuade you in any way. I say that so you're prepared for the inevitable roadblocks you'll encounter along the way. Because if you're prepared, you can turn those roadblocks into small road bumps, rather than massive barriers that halt your progress significantly. Some of those roadblocks are going to be on the technical side. There's a lot you don't yet know about starting a business, which is why you enrolled in this course in the first place. Luckily, you have Tom and his team here to help you in that area. Now, the other roadblocks you'll encounter are internal. Everyone who's enrolled in this course is pushing their comfort zones in one way or another. When you start to test the limits of your comfort zones, your subconscious mind finds all sorts of reasons to stay where you are, to stay where you feel safe and secure. This is where you start to feel the doubts, insecurities, and start talking yourself into all the reasons why you can't take the actions you're already committed to taking. I'm here to tell you this is inevitable. Every client I've ever worked with who started a business felt this way and came to a crossroads where they had to decide to embrace some discomfort and move forward, or give up and stay in that comfortable place they've grown used to. If these mental roadblocks are inevitable, it's best that we do our best to prepare for them so we can see them for what they really are when we cross them. So if you allow me to be your mindset and performance coach for the next 30 to 40 minutes, I'll show you how you can start to clear these mental roadblocks that are in the way of creating a successful and sustainable business, creating the life you've always desired, and becoming the best version of yourself. So does that sound good? Excellent. Now, some of these exercises will be interactive, so grab a pen and paper and make sure that you're ready to take notes once we reach those parts. So let's get started. Now, before we dive into clearing those roadblocks, I want to do a quick exercise to demonstrate the incredible power of the mind. One of the main modalities I work in is called hypnosis, which leverages the hypnotic state to bypass your conscious mind so you can talk directly to your subconscious, where this type of work can be accomplished much more quickly and effectively. Visualization is a fundamental aspect of hypnosis, and it's really quite amazing what we're able to generate with the power of our minds. And this quick exercise will give you a taste of what I'm talking about. So what I'd like you to do is just close your eyes and take in a deep breath. And as you exhale, just allow yourself to relax, and I'd like you to imagine that you're in your kitchen. You're in your kitchen and you see a fresh lemon on the side. I'd like you to see that lemon so clearly. I'd like you to pick up that lemon. Give that lemon a squeeze. Feel that texture of the skin. And then before you've even cut it, just take a smell of that lemon. And I'd like you to take a knife. I'd like you to cut that lemon in half. And just see the juice of that lemon. Seeing that lemon juice as you squeeze that lemon. Just getting a sense of that smell. And then I'd like you to make the decision to lick that lemon. Tasting the juice. Just tasting the juice of that lemon now. Just knowing that feeling, smelling that lemon, just tasting that lemon now. Okay, and now I'd like you to open your eyes. Now, what's interesting is a large percentage of you will have noticed your mouth start to saliva as you're picturing that lemon. Now, we all know there's no lemon here, but it will still make your mouth water. And that's the power of your mind. You're able to generate the experience of having a real lemon in front of you when we know that it's not there. And that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to what you're capable of generating. To explore under the surface, one of the questions I ask my clients when they come to work with me is, what's holding you back? What's holding you back from being at the top of your industry? What's holding you back from achieving the success you desire? What's holding you back from living your vision? I hear a lot of different responses, but they can all be boiled down into two categories. The first is, they don't know what to do to get there. That means they're lacking in the skill set or knowledge needed to be one of the best in their industry. They may have reached a certain plateau and are falling behind the competition because they're lacking in the technical skills to be the best. In the day and age we live in, not knowing what to do is not a good enough excuse for not achieving your biggest goals and dreams. Whether it's in business or any other industry, we live in a world where information is readily available if you're willing to invest your time and resources into getting better. You know this as much as anyone, because you've made the wise decision to allow Tom and his team to be your mentors. Now, this is the area many people think they fall into. They think there are some secrets out there that those at the top of the industry have, and if only they knew that secret too, they would be successful. And maybe that was the case 20 or 30 years ago, but we live in a world where you have the collective knowledge of the world accessible in the palm of your hand, and the ability to connect with experts in your field no matter where you're located. The second reason, and in almost all cases the true root cause of what's holding them back, is that they know what to do, but don't. Now, this is where my specific expertise comes into play. The vast majority of clients I see tell me they can clearly see the path they need to take in order to become the top of their industry, but for whatever reason, they're not able to bring themselves to consistently take the necessary actions. Or even worse, in moments of clarity, they know exactly what to do, but the actions they consistently take drive them in the opposite direction of where they want to go. They know exactly where they're falling short, but every time they go to work on that area, it's almost as if there's an invisible force field holding them back. It's not that they don't want to be successful or aren't willing to do what it takes to get it. It's that when they go to do what they know needs to be done, something holds them back. Or maybe they do get started, make it 90% of the way there and stall out, only to move on to something completely different and start all over again. And maybe they start to finally have some breakthroughs, only to start sabotaging everything, destroying their progress, leaving them back at ground zero. I think we can all relate to this in some form or another. Maybe it's discovering a legitimate business opportunity, making an investment in learning how to take advantage of it, only to never put the work in to actually get started, just to jump into the next shiny object you see. Maybe it's diving headfirst into learning a new business and spending your time doing research and learning strategies and tactics, but never moving on to the actual building phase because you don't want to get started until everything's lined up perfectly. Maybe you find yourself hitting a certain level of income or revenue that you just can't break through, say the 6 or 7 figure mark, or a number that once you hit, everything just seems to fall apart until you drop back below that number. Or maybe there are those high leverage tasks you know you need to do but find yourself doing other trivial busy work instead. Maybe it's always being so busy that you're putting out other people's fires that you avoid doing the meaningful work that will move you forward. And maybe you absolutely crush it in business, but throw it all away in your personal life by spending extravagantly, making terrible investment decisions, or gambling in the stock market. Now here's the big secret. The people in this business who you look up to and admire have exactly the same fears, insecurities, and mental roadblocks that you do. They've just figured out a system of dealing with them. And how do I know that? I know that because I'm their coach. The reason I can work with an executive of an 8-figure business, follow that up with a session with an Olympic speed skater, and end my day working with a high-stakes professional poker player and help all 3 of them unlock the best version of themselves, is because the root of all of their performance roadblocks are the same. And that brings me to the idea that the cornerstone of my methodology of mindset and performance coaching is you are not your issues. The mental roadblocks that are holding you back from becoming the best version of yourself are not some innate personality flaws. They're actually subconscious programs that are running in the background. It's not that you're an anxious person, you have an anxiety program. You're not inherently afraid of success, you've learned to be afraid of success. You're not bad at selling your product or yourself, it's the idea of selling that triggers a defense mechanism that your subconscious has created to protect you from harm. You're not lazy, nor are you a procrastinator. There's something in your subconscious that's putting up a resistance against taking action. It's not that you don't know the path to break the 6 or 7 figure mark. You just have a subconscious program that tells you you don't deserve that level of success. This is why it's so common for people to know what they need to do, yet consistently find themselves unable to get the job done. What this means is it's not the external activity that's the problem. It's what the idea of the activity triggers inside you. It's not the hard work and discipline needed to live a healthy lifestyle that's a problem. It's the subconscious program that directs you down the unhealthy path in the first place that's a problem. The task you're procrastinating doing isn't the problem, it's the risk of trying and failing that your subconscious wants to protect you from. That pile of busy work isn't actually essential for you to complete. It's that when you tell yourself you're just too busy, you get to completely ignore the deeply impactful work that your subconscious is afraid of completing. It's not that you're not capable of being a great leader, it's that the idea of being in a leadership position triggers your imposter syndrome. What this means is that no matter how many ideas you jump between, new strategies you learn, or flashy tactics you discover, if you don't deal with the internal programs, you'll always keep getting the same result. Your external circumstances are just a trigger, and it's only when we eliminate the subconscious programs that are the root of the problem that we see a real shift in performance. Now you might be asking yourself, why would I sabotage myself internally when I know I really want to accomplish these big goals and dreams? Well, there's a big difference between consciously wanting something and having your subconscious be aligned with the goal. You see, your subconscious's goal is to protect you. If you wake up and you're alive, then the subconscious gives itself a pat on the back for another job well done. We evolved in a world that was full of danger, and if we were forced to consciously process each of those dangers individually, we'd simply freeze up and be easy prey. Given that you're here today, I'd say this process served you very well from an evolutionary perspective. However, given that the modern world has eliminated the vast majority of the dangers we once faced, we are now stuck with some outdated programming. While the subconscious's goal is to protect you, it doesn't always do a great job in determining the difference between a perceived risk and an actual danger. In fact, many of us often have subconscious programs holding us back from taking the actions that would benefit us the most. Actions that seem incredibly destructive and illogical from the outside produce a secondary gain that makes perfect sense to your subconscious because of what it's trying to protect you from. If your parents always told you that rich people are evil, then what do you think will happen if you start to approach the amount of money they would consider being rich? If you were bullied as a child and spent most of your time feeling powerless, then you can see the logic in why spending tons of money on status symbols would give you in some moments feelings of power. When you learn that someone received unwanted sexual attention when they were younger, you can understand why they might subconsciously become overweight in an attempt to become less attractive. If your father worked incredibly hard and only ever made $40,000 in a year, you can see how you might run into subconscious guilt when you start to make 10, 20, or even 100 times that amount by working in a business that mostly feels fun and easy. This is something that the world as a whole hasn't come to realize yet, leading to many people living in a vicious cycle where their conscious goals conflict with their subconscious programming. And when a conscious desire goes up against a subconscious program, the subconscious almost always comes out on top. To give you a better understanding of how this all works, I'm going to share my personal story about discovering the power of the subconscious mind. You see, growing up, I had a debilitating fear of flying. While I was able to physically get on a plane, the thought of doing so would be terrifying. If I was going on a family holiday, I'd spend the week before worrying about the flight there, and rather than enjoying the beach, I'd be preoccupied with thoughts of the flight back home. As a young adult, I was forced to pass up some great business and networking opportunities because the fear of getting on a plane felt too much greater than the potential of the opportunities. After seeing how debilitating this fear was, a friend of mine recommended I give hypnotherapy a try to resolve it. I trusted the friend, but I was fully convinced it wouldn't work. What happened next caught me off guard. This was before the days of Zoom, so I went to see this hypnotherapist in person. She had me lay on a couch, close my eyes, and relax. After guiding me to a place of deep relaxation, she asked me to recall the last time I was on a flight and describe the feelings and sensations I felt in my body as I recalled the experience. As soon as I was fully immersed in those sensations, the hypnotherapist asked me to jump back to the very first time I could remember feeling that way. In that moment, I found myself experiencing a memory I wasn't consciously aware of before. I was a small child and seeing a picture of a small plane at my grandfather's house. My mum was telling me about an accident that had just happened, where the plane in the picture had crashed, killing one of my grandfather's business partners. As I said, this isn't something I'd even known about before, and I had to confirm the story with my mum after the fact just to make sure it actually happened. As I was experiencing that memory, the hypnotherapist had me look at the situation from my adult perspective, injecting the logic that because someone I knew had died in a plane crash, that didn't mean flying was any more dangerous for me, especially when it came to long-haul commercial flights. It's hard to describe the way I felt when I walked out of her office, but the best way I can describe it is a feeling of lightness, as if a huge burden had been lifted off my shoulders, and I knew in that moment I'd be able to get on my next flight with no worries or fear. I had walked into that hypnotherapy session terrified to fly, and when I walked out the fear was gone. Yet I was the same person. Nothing about me had changed. Fear of flying was simply a program I was running in the background that I wasn't even aware of. And I just discovered it was possible to rewrite that program, to rewrite a memory from childhood in a way that benefited me. So sure, it was nice that my fear of flying was gone, but as I stepped out onto the street, all I could think about was how powerful the mind truly is and just how much is possible when we take back control of the programs we're running. I was no longer thinking about my next flight. All I could think about was how much better the world could be if we could remove these roadblocks and were able to perform to our full potential. After that experience, I quickly enrolled in the top hypnosis school I could find, and ever since I've been honing my skills, sharing with the world just how powerful your mind is when you learn to align your subconscious programs with your conscious goals and dreams. Now, if a high-level CEO wants to call me up and help them prep for a vital negotiation, or a UFC champion wants me to help them visualize a victory before they walk out, I have no problems jumping on a plane and making that happen. Something that I couldn't imagine was possible before this experience. Flying was something I knew I should be doing if I wanted to achieve my goals, but my subconscious was blocking me from doing it, because it was trying to protect me from what it believed was an incredibly dangerous action. So while your fear of getting started with this program, or procrastinating on your most important tasks, or your unwillingness to launch your store and product, or making over a certain amount of income may not feel like life or death consciously, this is exactly what your subconscious believes is on the line. There was a moment in your life where these programs were installed, and to make the progress you desire, you need to reprogram or delete these programs. Now, unfortunately, this type of work with the subconscious is really something that's most effective when done on a one-to-one basis, or on a smaller scale with my Prime Mind app. But what I can do is run through a quick exercise that simulates some of the same outcomes we look for in a hypnotherapy session, so that you can at least start to figure out the subconscious program that's holding you back the most, and start the process of discovering the root cause. So what I'd like you to do right now is grab a pen and a piece of paper, or open up a notepad on your computer. Now, during this quick exercise, I'm going to ask you to do a little bit of visualization, which you can either do with your eyes open or closed. Obviously, if you're driving or doing anything else right now that requires your attention, just skip the eyes closed part. So now that you're ready to jot down some quick notes, I want you to start thinking about those things you know you should be doing but aren't. The things that you know the people at the top of your industry are doing, but for some reason you've been holding yourself back from. These can also be the opposite of any self-destructive and sabotaging actions you engage in currently. It might mean sharing a controversial opinion or putting your heart and soul and full effort into a project. Maybe it's failing to sell your product hard enough, or even get a product launched in the first place. Maybe there's a risk you know you should take, but you just can't bring yourself to follow through. Maybe it's gaining a certain level of financial literacy and ensuring your savings, investments, expenses, and taxes are all under control and optimized. Maybe you struggle when you need to have difficult conversations, or you need to motivate and lead your team. Maybe it's growing a team in the first place, or learning how to delegate the majority of your tasks to more capable hands. Or it might even be something like embracing a healthy lifestyle of good diet and exercise to make sure you have the energy for your work. As you think through the things you know you should be doing, pause the video and take a few minutes to complete it. Now, looking at your list, I want you to think about the one that stands out the most, the one that's just harder than it should be. Circle that one on your paper, highlight it, underline it, whatever you need to do to make that one stand out. Now, I want you to think about how the idea of doing this task, taking that risk or taking that action, makes you feel. Does it make you feel anxious? Do you feel a pressure in your chest or a sickness in your stomach? Does it just feel like there's an invisible force field holding you back from doing what you know you should be doing? Zone into the way it feels to you and write that sensation down. And now, as you focus on it, that thought or feeling, I'd like you to start thinking back to other times in your life you felt that way or acted in a similar way. If you want, you can close your eyes and visualize that feeling. Just thinking about that feeling and feeling it fully. Just thinking back through the years to the different times you've had that sensation, whatever that might be. And as you go through this process, you might notice there's a theme here. Those who procrastinate have been procrastinating for a long time. The people holding themselves back from success have seen self-sabotage or confidence issues at different parts of their life. And now I want you to start to trace back that feeling all the way to its origin. And as you go through this process, you'll start to bring up some memories from your past. You might find it started when a teacher said you'd never amount to anything. Issues within your family that made you feel a lack of confidence, or that you didn't deserve to have success or feel loved. Maybe someone in your family had a disdain for people with wealth, telling you that money's the root of all evil. Perhaps it's bullying issues from school that damage your confidence and your ability to communicate your value to other people. Whatever it is, start thinking about that situation. Maybe even take a moment to write down that memory, or just take a little bit longer to make that memory even more vivid in your mind's eye. And then you can start looking at it from the outside, as if you were looking in with your adult eyes on a different person in this same situation. And I'd like to start reframing these memories from your past in a very different way. I'd like you to see that the teacher who said you wouldn't amount to anything, or mocked you in class in front of the other students, was probably just having a bad day and lashing out. It was probably a teacher in their 40s who was stressed, lashing out at a child, not thinking about anything. But you've taken that to heart for your entire life. Or perhaps it's bullying issues that damaged your confidence. And looking at bullying, in most situations there's a 10-year-old girl spreading nasty rumors about another 10-year-old girl just to make themselves feel better. It might not be a nice experience, but it's not the life or death experience we experience as a child. The families who looked down on others who had money were feeling disappointed in not being able to provide for their family in the way they would like, and they were just passing the blame to external forces. So I'd like to start reframing these experiences and see them for what they really are, and start to release the emotions around this. We create these programs in our childhood and teenage years, and we often find ourselves repeating these programs throughout our lives unless we do something about it. And what you've done is the initial step in starting to unwind that program, so you don't feel this way or act this way anymore. It's not who you are that prevents you from doing the things you know you should be doing. It's a program that you've learned that's not allowing you to fulfill your full potential. And I'd like you to start changing this program. I'd like to see that those issues are not innate personality traits. You're not anxious, you just learn to be anxious. You're not afraid of success, you've learned to be afraid of success. You're not afraid to promote yourself. You've learned to be afraid because it serves some purpose of protecting your ego or keeping you safe in some way or another. These programs have been running in the background, preventing anything else from coming in. And there you have it. Just being aware that these performance roadblocks exist puts you well ahead of most of those in your field. And what I really want you to take away from this video is the list of items you know are holding you back. That list you wrote out minutes ago. They aren't innate personality flaws. They're more like a weighted vest you carry around that you can choose to discard when you decide you really want to make serious progress on your dreams and goals. When you shed those burdens you've carried for so long, amazing things start to happen. Imagine waking up each morning feeling fresh, focused, and confident that you'll perform today's task to the full extent of your potential. How well will you sleep at night if each day you went to bed knowing you're spending each day living your vision? Imagine if the stress, frustration, fear, and internal resistance you feel now were to simply melt away, allowing the best version of yourself to come through. What if instead of sabotaging yourself when you start to become successful, you doubled down on what's working, grew exponentially faster, and actually started to accumulate the wealth you deserve? Understanding the true nature of your subconscious resistance is the first step in making that happen, and that's exactly what we've accomplished together. The next step, and where you'll start to notice some transformation, is when you can take these subconscious programs that are holding you back and resolve the emotion that created them in the first place, allowing you to reprogram them in a way that's in complete alignment with your personal vision. Now, there are quite a few ways this can be done, and given my background and with my experience, I'm an incredible advocate for using hypnosis to accomplish this. That's why it's the main modality of my private coaching, and why I've trained a team of coaches in order to fill the demand of these services when I'm not able to. The key here is getting to the root cause of the problem. It's getting to that initial event that created the program in the first place, just like I did with my fear of flying. What's important to know, this is incredibly difficult and often impossible to do on your own. When dealing with your own subconscious, you're going to have blind spots. The memory I discovered about my grandfather's plane was a memory I wasn't even aware of before the hypnotherapy session. To make the deepest and most impactful change, we need to dig all the way to the bottom, something that's not easily done on your own. Along the way, you can find band-aids to help stop the bleeding when these subconscious programs are triggered. Most of the tactics you hear about in mindset and personal development spaces are bandages for deeper wounds. I'm all for that. Those band-aids can be incredibly valuable. However, the biggest gains come when you heal the wounds, not just try to cover them up. Rather than reacting to the aftermath, when you do the work to eliminate the negative program in the first place, those band-aids and workarounds become unnecessary. So if you want to solve these money, mindset, and performance roadblocks once and for all, please find someone who specializes in this area, whether that's me, one of my trained coaches, or someone else altogether. If that sounds like something you'll be interested in, you'll definitely want to check out the videos following this one. Tom came up with a great idea to find some students of this program who were dealing with some of the most common mental roadblocks that many of you will experience. Those students agreed to do a session with me and agreed to let us record the whole thing to share it for you to watch. That way you'll have an idea of what my style of coaching actually looks like, and after watching, if you feel like it could benefit you, you can apply to work with one of the members of my team. Now before we finish, I ask you for one more thing. Take a look at that list you just made, the list of actions you know you should be doing but aren't, and I want you to think of a decisive action you can take today to take at least one of those items off the list. I want today to be the day you get the ball rolling. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, definitely not next year. You know these are all things you should be doing, that you need to be doing, if you're going to make your vision a reality. You're aware now of the subconscious programs that prevented you from taking action previously, or caused you to take actions putting you on the wrong trajectory, and with the knowledge you now have, that changes today. Now that you're aware of the subconscious blocks in your life, everything gets easier from here. You'll naturally approach this area with more conscious awareness, and all I ask is that you view this as the first step on a journey to becoming the best version of yourself, and you take the momentum you generated and turn it into even more steps. This can be as simple as watching the next video, downloading my Prime Mind app, or setting aside some time in your calendar to work on this program. I really appreciate Tom having me as part of this program, and you for allowing me to be your mindset coach today. I'm excited for you to start your journey, both in creating your business and more importantly, to becoming the best version of yourself.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Tom here. I have my friend Elliot. Hey, how's it going this morning?
Hey Tom, going well. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. So what we want to do in this video is we want to just kind of give you guys kind of a wrap up, right? So you've seen Elliot's intro video, you've seen the two transformations that happened right in front of your eyes. But what we want to do is kind of piece everything together and kind of give you a closure to this chapter. So Elliot, I just want to, first of all, thank you for you doing what you do with all your clients. But of course, these two specific students were very, near and dear to me. So I just want to kind of get into maybe Finn's story first, because I thought that was so powerful. I watched the entire thing and man, like at the end, it gave me shivers down my spine, brought a little tear in my eyes, because I think we can all relate to that story, right? So regarding Finn, for those that, kind of maybe forgot or didn't watch the video, which I highly recommend all you to watch. But basically, Elliot, maybe actually I'm going to pass the mic to you. Can you just describe why Finn had such a hard time making a decision?
Yeah, so what we're trying to do in these mindset sessions is understand where the triggers are coming from. So a lot of the time, clients will be coming to me and they'll be like, I just can't do X or Y. And in Finn's case, it was a really struggle making decisions, a really struggle sort of making that choice and then going ahead, giving something 100%. So we started off that session with different areas in his life. So it's hypnotherapy. Everyone watch the video. This is going to make so much more sense if you watch the video first. So make sure you watch the Finn video. So we go into this hypnotherapy session, and it brings up memories that are connected to the emotion that you're feeling. And initially, it came up with some big decisions that he made in his life, so relatively generic decisions that everyone has. So thoughts around relationships, around becoming a father, sorts of things, just the normal fears. But then we started to go deeper, and we got all the way back to a childhood memory in his video, where he was given a huge decision to make as a child, and that was his parents were breaking up, and they asked him, where does he want to live? That sort of question given to a child is incredibly scary. So you're in a situation where you're going to devastate one of your parents, and there's no way around that. And it's a situation that a 10-year-old should never really be put in. And what that does is it teaches the child that these sorts of decisions are scary, dangerous things to make. And you start creating a program whenever there's one of these really big fight or flight moments in your life, especially in your childhood, especially typically under the age of 10, it starts defining the program you're then living your life with. And from an evolutionary perspective, it makes sense. You should learn fears quickly in the wild, because then you're safe. You're going to be scared of the tiger in the jungle, whatever it might be. But in the modern world, we're creating these fears through childhood, and then they just impede us in our businesses. And in his case, he had that really big aha moment, that we're hoping to find in these sessions, where it's okay, it's not that these decisions are dangerous. I just felt they were dangerous for my whole life because of a traumatic experience I went through as a child. And that's the sort of thing that we're looking for in these sessions, because these are the big unlocks that suddenly these things become much easier after that point. Once you understand where it came from, why you're feeling that way, then things can just be much easier than they were before. And that's the sort of the shift you see. And I mean, he latched onto this idea of, there is no wrong door. I just need to make a choice. And then I need to make the best of that choice. And so many of us, especially when you're looking to start a business, it's these sorts of things that are holding people back from taking that first step. And that first step is so important, because you can always make the best of a situation once you're in it. But if you're just paralyzed and you're not making a choice and you're not digging into an opportunity, then it's just impossible to be successful, because you're not even learning from your mistakes. You're just paralyzed. So there's no growth that happens in paralysis at all. And I found it a very fun session, and it's nice, in an initial first session, to be able to get that deep, because sometimes it does take a few sessions to get there. And it was nice that we managed to get something like that so quickly in one of these calls, with someone I hadn't spoken to before.
Yeah, no, I again, if you haven't watched that video, definitely go watch it. It's it was so powerful. But I just want to kind of break down what Elliot said, right? It's like, after watching that call, I actually messaged Elliot myself. I was like, okay, so what exactly happened there? And like, why does it work? Right. So really is, you said it perfectly. It's like, hey, we experienced something traumatic in the past. From a evolution perspective, our brain is here to actually try to protect us at any cost. The only thing that the brain cares about is not your happiness. It's not your emotions. The only thing the brain cares about is keeping you alive. That's it. So he associated that painful moment with basically, it was a very traumatic moment, and he associated with that a lot of pain. So obviously your brain's like, hey, whenever we make a decision now, boom, trigger, boom, relates back to that specific memory. And whenever now he makes a decision, there is the subconscious, right? Like you don't even like, so much of what we do is in the subconscious. We're not even thinking. Like right now, I'm moving my hand. I'm not thinking I'm like moving my hand. My body is just moving my hand. But same as your memories, same as your emotions. And what Elliot is trying to do through his work is simply guiding that person back to that exact moment. Look at that as almost like a real life film, and almost understanding the situation and making peace with it,
so that your mind goes from fight or flight, no, 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 this is danger, to, oh, wait, it's like, it's actually fine. That was just an event and it has to happen to a lot of people. And I'm okay. Like, things are going to be fine. Um, that's a cat, not a tiger. It's not going to eat me. It's not going to hurt me. So yeah, I just thought that was super powerful. So, and the other question I have for you, Elliot, was, and maybe, I know the answers to this already because we talked about it, but maybe you can share with the audience here, is, does it always trigger back to, majority of the time, does it always trigger back to some sort of a childhood memory based on your experience?
On my experience, yeah, like there's always triggers that are creating an irrational emotional response.
Mm,
So anytime there's something in your life where you can't make the sales phone call because it just feels too scary, or it feels like an invisible force field's holding you back from going to the gym, or whatever it might be. Anytime that there's something that you logically know you should be doing,
mm,
but emotionally you can't make yourself do it,
mm,
that memory, that emotion, sorry, that feeling, I always find that they lead back to things in childhood.
mm-hmm,
So it's not the first time the person's felt that way. And they usually create the clean narratives that we saw in these videos. So in Finn's, the clean narrative was the obviously the decision with the divorcing parents, and in Joshua's we had the clean narratives of the not asking out the girl, and the sort of the issues on the football field that in
mm-hmm,
childhood, those things growing up are actually traumatic, difficult things to deal with.
mm-hmm,
And they explain those sorts of situations, and it's very normal in both of those cases. That was the first time I'd spoken to either of those guys.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
It's very normal to very quickly see these narratives show through the hypnotherapy sessions that just explain logically why the person's struggling in this particular area.
mm-hmm,
And one of the things I'll say to everyone that I speak to is, you're not your issues. So someone comes to me and they're like, I'm an anxious person. I'll be like, no, you learn to be anxious at a certain point.
mm-hmm,
Like, something taught you to be anxious, but you're not an anxious person. It's just some data that you picked up in a program that's incorrectly firing.
mm,
And if you can start to split that up in your mind from, I am angry, I
right,
am anxious, I am a procrastinator, to, at a certain time, my subconscious learned that that was a safe way of me living.
mm,
So the anger keeps me safe, or the anxiety keeps me safe, or the procrastination keeps me safe. Um, if you switch the way you're framing that, it becomes something you can unlearn rather than something that's inherently you. And
mm-hmm,
I think that's really the key takeaway I want everyone to have from these videos that you saw, from the introduction video I did. Um, you are not your issues. You just learned them. These are things you can fix and change. And it's not a good enough excuse to say, hey, I just procrastinate. I just can't make decisions. Things have to be perfect before I pull the trigger and do the work. None of that's true. You need to just work through those resistances so that you can make those changes.
mm-hmm. So the other question I had was, what if something happened to you so long ago, maybe even like, do you think the subconscious can pick up memories from like 6 months, 1 year old, 2 years old? Like,
I've
you
had
tell
it
me
show
something
up.
at one, I can't remember what I was
I've
thinking.
had stuff show up all the way back to babies in
Oh, wow.
session. It's very strange. It's rare.
Yeah.
Usually, what we're looking at is like 3 to 8 years old is the standard.
Mm,
But every now and again, I'll do a session and they'll describe being very, very young. Um, one of the ones is, being left crying at
mm,
that age is something that I've had come up in a number of sessions, like feeling unsafe, feeling alone,
mm,
feeling, unwanted. And from really, really early stages. And obviously we never know exactly how accurate any of these memories are. Memories is always sort of somewhat pieced together.
mm,
They're malleable, they're always changing. But there are themes that come from very early, but I would say they're not the standard. The standard is when the child is starting to learn how to live within the world. So when they're picking up the programs, they're copying their parents, and they're sort of seeing where they believe their worth is. And am I loved? Am I deserving? Am I good enough? And generally, those narratives are somewhere between, as I say, 3 and 8 years old
Mm,
is the standard. I'm being picked on at school. That means I'm not good enough.
mm.
My mom's giving my brother more attention. That means she loves him more than me. That means I'm undeserving. It's that sort of period where we see the biggest sort of emotional programs. Like, yeah, that's where we normally see them.
So you have two girls yourself, right?
Yeah.
How old are they?
I've got two 8-year-olds. So we were just getting past the dangers.
Yeah. So knowing
Yeah.
the impact that
Mm.
some of us might think, for example, a kid is crying, right? The mom is like, I'm just gonna leave that kid crying until he learns not to cry.
Yeah.
I'm not a parent. I'm not here to say that's good advice or bad advice, but based off what you just said, to me, that seems to be
Yeah.
very, very bad advice. So knowing all these things, what are some things that you do as a parent to raise your two little girls so that they have as little as these events happening
Yeah.
to their lives?
I mean, the first thing is sort of understand you cannot be perfect.
Mm,
So, we have an understanding in our house, like we're going to try our best.
yes.
However, they're still going to complain about us when they're 25. Like
Yes.
they will find something. It doesn't matter how much you try.
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh, this was
My
wrong.
parents love me too much.
Yeah.
What's wrong with me?
There will be something.
Yeah.
But we're very good about saying that we love them. We're very unreactive in terms of shouting and screaming. Like, I don't know that I've shouted at my kids outside of them, getting too close to the road when there's a car coming. Outside of danger,
Yeah.
there's not really been any shouting or screaming in the house at all through their whole lives.
Wow.
So we're quite lucky. Both of us are pretty unreactive people in that sense. And then we have like a mantra that we talk through them, and we've been doing this for a very long time. And it's one that it doesn't matter what you do wrong, we still love you.
Mm.
Also, it doesn't matter what you do right, we won't love you anymore.
We
So it
won't
doesn't
love you
matter-
anymore.
No. So if you get
Interesting.
first in class, I don't love you more than if you're fifth in class. If you get the gold medal, I don't love you more than if you get the bronze medal.
Hmm.
And I think having both sides of that is really important, because a lot of people say, hey, if you're naughty, I still love you. But then children can get fixated on trying to get achievements, thinking the achievements equal love.
Mm.
And we try and balance that out with, I love you infinitely anyway. It's great if you get a gold medal, but I don't love you more because you best at gymnastics.
Right. Okay.
And
Let me
just
ask you
have
this.
some fun.
Let me ask you this. So a lot of top performers, okay, a lot of athletes, CEOs, business people, whatever. It's funny because the more I meet, and the more I understand these type of things, I'm like, man, like some of us are pretty messed up, like we use our childhood trauma, the fact that we felt like we weren't enough, we weren't loved enough, and we clutch onto business success so that we can feel like we're enough.
Yeah.
Do you see that as a very common thing, or?
Yeah, I've seen that through, I work with a huge number of high performers in sports, in business, etc. It's definitely a theme. People can be motivated through trying to prove something.
Yes.
It can drive you to a certain level,
Yes.
but I have yet to see it turn into happiness.
Yes.
And from a parental perspective, I'm much more concerned about whether my children have a fulfilling and happy life versus them being extremely wealthy. And I do sort of see that when people are doing what they love, where they feel safe to do what they love, typically they become successful anyway.
True.
And they're doing it they're doing their passion. And if someone's following their passion, a lot of the time they can actually reach the level of success, but in something that's bringing them joy and happiness. And you can sense if the chef loves to cook the food.
Yes.
Or you can get a feeling. It doesn't matter what it is, and we'll see how things play out in 20 years. I'll tell you if I was right or wrong.
Yeah. I think you're right.
But,
I don't think you're wrong. That's for sure.
Yeah, but
No, I don't think you're too far off.
but this is what I've seen, and we certainly, my preference. I don't need to have an Olympic gold medalist daughters. That's not something that's high up on my priority list. But I do want to have some happy daughters who feel loved, who feel safe in trying different things, knowing if they fail, they're still going to be supported.
Okay.
And then that's the way I view it from a parental perspective.
Okay. For parents out there, are there any good resources, any good books, any courses that you've taken, about this particular subject, or this is just kind of through your own practice?
So this actually, the thoughts process around the love stuff actually came from a friend of mine. Look, deep conversations with a friend of mine called Katie Wells, who runs the podcast Wellness Mama.
Okay.
Massive parenting and wellness podcast. Dig into her stuff. She's extraordinarily intelligent, and has put a lot of effort into these things. So I would say check out her podcasts. Really good resource for things around parenting and just like healthy living for families.
Cool. My last question is, how do you kind of define how do you define like happiness, fulfillment? What do you think we're here to do on earth? How do you think that we're yeah, like what's let me backtrack. So what I realized over the past little while was that I think a lot. I think in the future a lot. And to be honest, even a week ago, I go through these waves, these really, really weird waves. And the most recent wave was actually a very, very tough wave for me to ride on. And the reason why that was is because I asked myself a lot of questions about the future. I'm in such a grateful position. I have everything that a lot of people dreamt of. But there always felt like something was missing. It's only missing. The missing piece becomes much larger when I think in the future. When I'm thinking in the present moment, for example, if I'm focusing 100% of my attention on this conversation with you right now, nothing is missing. Everything is perfect. Okay. There's nothing that's missing. So what I came to realize is that for me specifically, right? I just need to focus on living more in the present moment because nothing else actually really matters in the future. It doesn't exist.
And I think that's why, I mean, I know you've picked up the hobby of golf.
Yes.
I think things like sports like that, like I like skiing.
Yes.
These things force you to be present and in the moment.
Yes.
As you're taking a shot, you're only thinking about your putt.
Yes.
You're not thinking about anything else. And I'm thinking of don't fall over, don't fall over, don't fall over.
Yeah.
So skiing down the hill.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things. Like if you can be drawn to the present in most situations, that makes us feel happier. That makes us feel alive. And a lot of the time, our fantasies about the future, about if I have this car, if I have this yacht, if I go on this vacation, the fantasies are always better than the reality of getting the car, getting the yacht, going on the vacation.
The
So
chase
we
process.
think, yeah, it's the chase for it that it's the chase towards something that in reality doesn't give us the fulfillment that we're expecting. For me personally, it's helping people. You guys saw my sessions. I find that extraordinarily fun. Like for me, I get to help people doing this. That's really fun and interesting for me. But for other people, it's building out businesses and seeing the growth and seeing them turn. When someone starts with this, an idea and then they bring it into reality, again, that can bring happiness to them. But I would say it's more about the feeling of bringing an idea into reality and creating something tangible. That's more important than the number it creates money-wise.
Absolutely.
It's like the joy of seeing something grow, like growing a garden, basically. So just, I would say, play around with all of this. If you're out there, have a think about what you enjoy on a day-to-day basis, rather than I'll enjoy the end result. Like,
Yes.
what do I enjoy my Monday to Friday and developing something, growing something, helping people?
Yes.
And that's the way I personally try and live. Again, I'm not necessarily right on any of this, this philosophical questions, but this is the way that we choose to deal with it in our household, and currently it's working pretty well.
I love that analogy of gardening. I think gardening is, we all have this vision of what this garden could be. We maybe go on Pinterest, go online, go visit other gardens. We look at some flowers that we want in our own gardens, but we all have this picture of what this garden could look like before we actually even garden. You don't just start spilling seeds of all sorts everywhere. Like, oh, let's see what this is going to be like, right? And every single day we go to the garden, and for the first little while, like there's nothing there. For the first month, there's nothing there. For the first 3 months, there's nothing there. And I think the most exciting part is when you start seeing the flowers start blossoming, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh my God, it's coming live. And and I don't want to say that everything ends the day that your garden becomes perfect, but I would say that the dopamine, the happiness, the fulfillment is probably the strongest when things are growing, when things are,
Yeah,
yeah.
when it, yeah,
At the end, it's like, okay, I got this amazing garden now.
yeah,
Okay, cool. And I can totally relate to that because I can tell you guys in my very early days of building my Amazon business, I do this exercise sometimes when I think about when was I the happiest, when was I the most fulfilled and whatever. And to be honest, it was those early days of building my Amazon business.
yeah,
When I couldn't figure this out, couldn't figure that out, going to conferences, meeting new people, traveling, experiencing new things. Everything was new to me. Um, and the day that I sold my business, not to say it's a sad day or any means, but to be honest, it was kind of like, all right, like this ride is over.
yeah,
It's like a roller coaster, right? Like you go through the roller coaster, it's so much fun, and then it kind of just stopped,
yeah.
right? So no, I love that. I love that flower, the garden analogy, and I think that's very, very applicable to business as well. So cool. Well, anyways, is there anything that you would like to say, Elliot?
Well, just anyone, if this has resonated with people on the sessions and things, we have a team of coaches,
Yes. Yes.
who work from almost any, almost everyone. There's going to be a coach that works for you price wise.
Yes.
So there's going to be some links here if you're interested. Fill out an application form and we'll get in touch and see
Yes.
if there's someone who can help. But again, just understand you are not your issues. You have learned your issues. And for a lot of people, the mindset blocks are very real. And if you've been trying to do this for years and you haven't been able to bring yourself to, it's quite likely it's a mindset issue that's blocking you back. If you have all the information and you're not doing it, look into your mindset. It might change your life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you changed my life when I was dealing with my health anxiety. I
Thanks, Tom.
remember, yeah, I remember just after like it was crazy after one session, you know. And you know what's funny? While I have you here, actually, I think a lot of my health anxiety. Sorry, two things. Let me ask you this first, and then we'll wrap up. The first thing is, let's say we're experiencing something traumatic when we're 3 years old, 4 years old. Can that traumatic experience kind of be stored there until maybe when you are 25, 30, 35, and then it kind of like it just explodes?
Yeah, so you have initial sensitizing events, which would be the first one, and then usually you need secondary events to teach you that it's a problem. So let's say you have claustrophobia, it might kick in after 20 years old when you got stuck in a lift. But really, it came from when you were locked in a cupboard when you were 5. But you needed the second experience to like light up that pathway.
Gotcha.
So that's why often we're looking at themes of memories and like memory to memory to memory rather than just this instantly to the root cause. Typically it's a system of memories that are interacting, and it usually takes a secondary event.
Gotcha. Yeah, I just want to share with you with my health stuff, right? When I was a kid, my mom told me I was always sick. I was always going to the hospital. I was always getting in China back then, the medicine was just like needles and drips. Like
Right.
if you have a cough, needles and drips. Yeah, like needle, drips. Like I was always at the hospital. My mom was also very weak. My dad wasn't really around. And I think it makes sense, right? Like it makes sense for me to be a little bit more anxious about my health now because all those like no kids like to go to hospital. That's such a scary event for any kids, right? So I I'm self-aware enough now to kind of realize that might be the factor, but I haven't really done the work where I'm like making kind of peace with it in a way. Like, oh, I haven't done more meditation where I'm like imagining myself and then say, hey, it's okay, that type of thing. So maybe I'll work on that with you. But cool, man. Well, thank you so much, Elliot. I really appreciate your time. And again, guys, please, 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 I know I'm trying to help you guys like teaching you how to, make money on Amazon and so on and so forth. But I truly, truly believe from the bottom of my heart, this is one of the most important things that you can do for yourself, for your brain, for your family, for your surrounding ones, for everybody in your life. We're creatures of patterns. If you don't like the pattern that you're experiencing, you can break out of that pattern. It is very, very doable. You just need someone to help you with that. And I truly believe that Elliot and his team is the best resource that I have to offer to you. So anyways, click on the link below, book a call with one of his coaches. And yeah, hopefully you guys can have some breakthroughs just like Finn, myself, and others. So thank you so much, Elliot. Appreciate your time.
Hey, thanks, Tom. Bye-bye.